Everybody wants to know, who am I and why am I here? And our city is, I'm trying to say that it's kind of as cool as Nashville. Richmond, Virginia was actually named one of the top 10 most hipster cities in all of America. And so repping that, and because I'm in Nashville, Pastor JD said, you need to preach in your coolest outfit. Hey, my jeans have holes in them, and this is as cool as it gets, so you got to work with me. I don't got anything else to wear. And I think in these creative cities that are full of not just millennials, that are full of young people, middle-aged people, old people, desperately trying to create something, innovate something, be creative. That's who we are. We're creative people. And in our effort to search for creativity, we have forgotten why we were created. That while we want to do something, because creativity is sexy and it's action and it's activity and it's keeping us busy so we don't have to address the real issues. And when we all are on that search, what really begins to happen is that you begin to grasp hold of things that you never created to do, and you're wondering why you're getting the results you're getting in your life. So I just want to open up the whole entire discussion with this simple question: is what am I called to do? What am I called to do? And again, I think this is the church, especially Christian people. I'm a pastor. I've grown up in a pastor's home, 5 generations on my mom and my dad's side. I think we love to try to grapple with this question because calling is cool. Calling is awesome. And I love messages on calling, because if the pastor will just tell me what I'm called to do, then I can just actually start doing. And we live in a culture, we live in a generation that is caught up in the doing and in the busyness of activity. And what I need everyone to know from the very beginning is that God will always call you to a who before a do. That God is so much more concerned in who you are becoming than what you are doing. I know we want to get the calling right. I know we want to get to the doing. I know we want to get to the activity, but God is saying, who are you? What are you becoming? And the reason why I always think that God will call you to a who you are before a do what you do is because when you know who you are, you will know what to do. You won't have to search for your calling. You won't have to search for what to do anymore when you know that, when you know who you are. I can remember I started, our church is only 3.5 years old, and I was in the Marines for 4 years, from 2002 to 2006, and when I got out, I knew I wanted to be in ministry. I didn't have a clue what I was doing, and told Dad, and Dad was like, all right, you're gonna go be the youth pastor. I think that's where everybody somehow starts, is everyone, all right, I'm gonna be a youth pastor. How do I do that? There was nothing, we knew nothing. I was just fresh out of the Marines, and all I knew about youth ministry is that you take beach trips in the summer and you take ski retreats in the winter. And we're just gonna get a house that's made to sleep 20 and put 80 students in it and just be all over each other and just, you have these nighttime worship services, and every single time we do a worship experience, we're gonna cry, and then there's gonna be a great presence, and people can get saved, all these things, young people. And then I just had this great idea. I don't know if it was because of the edginess or whatever from just being out, but I was like, I'm concerned about our young men. High school men don't really know what it means to be a man. And growing up in this society and being told all these different things. And so I had this great idea that every single night after the worship experience, we're gonna go down to the basement and we're gonna have a fight club. And when I say fight club, I'm not talking like, no, stop, don't. I'm talking, I had sports tape. I'm rapping Knuckles, UFC. Just like, hey, when he does that, just step back, and then you just take him on the choke right there, just jab. Don't worry about his mom. We'll tell him if that on the steps. Don't worry about that. We will take care of that later. Don't let him do that to you. And I'm not kidding. Wait, I got a team of boys over here, a team of boys over here. I'm the youth pastor. I'm the pastor's son, youth pastor, beach retreat, fight club, 2006. Just being like, are you ready over here? Are you ready over here? And the only instructions were just come and kill each other. Just full blown, just massacre. Some of y'all are losing all respect for me right now. It's okay, I don't do this to my kids, but this was not my kids. So anyway, we were, And I'm like, right when I was getting ready to say, on your mark, get set, let's get it on. I mean, it was going to be UFC. It was going to be amazing. And one of the youth adult leaders who was a little bit older. Some of you may have been that youth adult leader before in your past. You know, the one, everything's always too loud. It's always too dangerous. Everything's no rules. OSHA, blah, blah, blah. No youth pastor cares about OSHA. You're like, shut, no one knows what that is. Ricky, nobody knows what OSHA is. So literally, I'm getting ready to go, and she comes flying. Wait a second. I mean, a horrific facial expression. She's mortified. And you know, she's going to ask me something. What is she going to ask me? What are you doing? Come on, where my parents at? All right, what are you doing? And as soon as she said that, it was literally like, oh, this light bulb went off. Oh, yeah. I'm a pastor. Maybe we shouldn't be in the dark basement killing each other at the beach retreat with Pastor Josh. And it's a funny story, but as I was thinking about that, we all have this same problem. That when you don't know who you are or you forget who you are, we do not know how to behave or what to do. And because we do not know who we are, we will start living by default and acting like everybody around us. So who are we? We got a big to-do list. Ricky, we got the building to do. There's a lot of things that, listen, God has called us to do, and we are going to do them. But before we do, we focused on who? On us. So who are we? Who is the church? Who is Zeal? What is God calling his church to be? Perhaps if we want to change some of the outcomes that we're getting in our churches, especially in the Bible Belt, perhaps the focus needs to stop being on the things that we're doing, and the focus needs to start being on who we are. So Peter, I love this. Before, and I want you to pay attention because it's just going to reinforce everything that we're talking about. Before he gets to the do of the church, and there's a big to-do list again for us to do. God has things he wants us to accomplish. But then before he addresses those things, I want you to pay attention to who he says that they are. Put this up, please, 1 Peter. And everything in red, y'all going to have to help me. Come on, preach this. I want y'all to say the words in red with me. He says, you, Zeal Church, you are a chosen people. You are royal priest. It's a little weird when we're going to talk about what that means. You are a holy nation. You're a holy nation. You're God's very own what? Possession. God's very own possession. And there's going to be a so that. So this is the who we are. We're God's chosen people. Then he says you're a royal priest, which he uses as a specific word that the religious people at that time would have understood. He says you are a priest, and the priests were the only people that could have access into the presence of God. And he says, listen, you need to know that you don't have to go through somebody else, but because of Jesus, you have access directly to the Father, to the Son, to the Holy Spirit. You don't have to go through anybody else. You are royalty. You are a priest. Start accessing the Father for yourself. You're a holy nation, holy that word set apart. You're called to be different. We don't look like everybody else. We don't talk like everybody else. We don't think the same thoughts as everybody else. We don't spend our time the way that everybody else spends their time. You're a holy nation, and you're God's very, I love this last one, you're God's very own possession. And possessions always represent and reflect the possessor. I have this crazy dog named Roxy. She's the best thing in the whole entire world. She's a boxer. And for some reason, my boxer, at certain times, and I know it's not even certain times, honey. I know it every single time when it happens. We have this nice backyard. It's fenced. It's got locks. Roxy stays out there all day long. All day. She can go to the bathroom anytime she wants to. She has no problems. There's no restrictions on her. For some reason, every single time one of my 3 kids that can walk get in my backyard, they have a temptation urge to unlock the gate, fling it open. Roxy, even though she could go to the bathroom anytime, always, without fail, always finds the necessity and the urge to run to my neighbor's house, and not the neighbor that's not home. Oh no, it's never that neighbor. It's always the neighbor that's in the front yard watering their grass, cutting their grass, doing something outside, clipping something, and my dog will always find that neighbor and relieve herself right in front of them. And I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but this is not a very fun thing to do as one of those neighbors, because the face you get always from your neighbor is that, are you kidding me? They're watering the grass, but they're looking at you. The dog's pooping right there, but they're staring at you. Like, of all the places, are you? Listen, I don't know why I'm talking about Roxy and pooping. I need to move on. I need to go on from that. We are God's very own, what does it say? Possession, which is interesting because that means because we are his possession, when people come into contact with Josh, they should not be coming in contact with Josh. They should be coming in contact with the person that I am representing. In the same way, every single place that you go, come on, you got to get this. We're answering the question, who are we? When you are at work, people don't come in contact with you. They come in contact with the person you're representing. When you go to Hattie B's to get some hot chicken, oh my goodness, I just got saved all over again. When you go, you're not representing yourself. You're representing, come on, Jesus. You're representing Jesus. I love this verse, and put up this verse in. Oh, here's the do. As a result, you can, come on, say the words. You can show it. Come on, say it again. You can what? Show others the goodness of God, for he's called you out of the darkness into his wonderful light. I love this verse. Put up this verse in 2 Corinthians. It says that we are Christ, what? Ambassadors, and that God is making his appeal through us. This is who we are. We're ambassadors. We're representing somebody else. We're representing the interest of somebody else. Now here's the big problem with that. Come on, we just got to be real. We're the church. If we don't get this right, no one's going to get it right for us. Is that the only Jesus, your coworkers or your family, or that person that sits in the cubicle next to you all day long, the only Jesus that they will ever see is, guess who? It's you. And it's me. Now we're talking about why this is important, because God is making his appeal through us to the people that are right around us. Now here's the big problem. This is where the tension comes in. Is that a lot of the times the appeal that we're making to other people, if we're honest, it really isn't very appealing at all. That the appeal to, hey, don't you want a marriage like this? Don't you want your finances to work like this? Don't you want your kids like this? And when people are looking at the appeal that we are making, it can come across not very appealing at all. And listen, we struggle, every single one of us, we struggle with this tension, and then all of a sudden, because we don't know who we are, we don't know what to do, so then what we try to do is win everybody and kind of apologize for the Bible and of God, and well, if we still want to reach people, let's just try to love them, and we won't, the Bible's a little bit outdated anyway, so Pastor, let's not call it sin, because that's a little mean, and let's pick and choose the parts of God's word that we believe, and the parts that we don't want to believe, and the parts we want to teach, and the parts we don't want to, and let's try to be inclusive and make sure everybody feels that, hey, newsflash, you can't, oh my goodness. You can't make a difference unless you're different. And as long as we are continuing to try to be like the world, we cannot lead the world. We cannot be the light of the world, the salt of the earth, the city on the hill, if we want to be like the hill. Instead of showing, I really feel this tension because I grew up in, again, a Christian home. I battle with this stuff. Instead of I think one of the biggest obstacles that we have as the church is that instead of showing others, remember what it says is show others the goodness of God. Instead of showing others this genuine, real, appealing Jesus that can take care of every situation that they're facing, what we unintentionally do is show them something that's not very appealing. Let me show you why. Maybe not all of these apply to you, but I think probably some of them will. Instead of showing them the authentic and the real and something that can actually change their life, we unintentionally show them something like a faith that's inherited faith. Inherited faith. Josh, what's inherited faith? Inherited faith is faith that is, well, my dad's a Catholic and my mom's a Baptist and I live in Nashville and it is the Bible Belt, so I'm a Christian. And I go to church about once every 6 weeks. But God's my boy. He knows my schedule, and he just loves me. It's going to be all right with him. And we live with something, listen, that's not our own, but it's been passed down through, come on, knowledge, but never transformation. And so you've only ever experienced the knowledge of God, the behavior modification without the heart transformation. And we've been walking around with this inherited type of faith, wondering why nothing ever really feels real. I was in the Marines, I was a machine gunner, and my main gun was a 50 cal machine gun on a tripod or vehicle mounted on a Humvee. And we used to have to all do these immediate action drills on these things that were timed. I'll never forget, you're working as a team, and you had to unload and load the gun as fast as you can. And if you don't know anything, they have these big feed tray covers, which is big, like almost like your arm like this, and it just opens up, and you take these big, long bullets like this, and you lay them on top of the ammo tray, and then you slam down that thing, and then you rack the charging handles, and then you're ready to go. It's Rambo. It's like that. Not really, but it's close. And so I remember we were doing that, and you got multiple guys doing different types of tasks so you can get the best time. And I lifted up the feed tray cover, and my buddy slaps the ammo on there, and I was adjusting one of the things, and my finger was still in there, and my buddy did not see that my hand was still in there. Yeah, it's going there. It's bad. And he slammed the feed tray cover on the very tip of my two fingers, and this is family, so we're gonna go here. And I can remember this bad word. And it was forming in the back of my mind. The letters were coming together, all in the back of here, and I was resisting it, and I was saying, no. But the pain forced this word from I don't know what the path is, but it's something like this, forced it from the back of my mind down here. It went down here and I was going, and it went, opened my mouth and shot that word out very long, loud, and clear in front of everybody to hear. Pastor Josh, what was the word? I'm not telling you. Was it a really bad one? Was it a medium one? Doesn't matter. But when I said this word that rhymed with duck in front of my whole entire group of people, I'm just... When I said it, it was immediate, and it's funny, but my friends, come on, now follow me here. My friends all knew who I was or who I said that I was. Inviting them to all these things. And what are you saying, Pastor Josh? What I'm saying is you cannot fake an inherited faith. It's going to show eventually. Who you are is going to show. Well, Pastor Josh, it's important that we deal with this. Hey, newsflash to all of us who have grown up in the church. Christians, we don't inherit our faith. We walk by faith. We don't get it from our parents. We walk and we develop a personal relationship. Pastor Josh, that's so... Everybody That's funny. I mean, I bet you that hurt your finger, but listen, don't be so hard on yourself. That's normal. I can't tell you I'm normal. That's normal. Hey, when did we start settling for normal? When did normal become the standard? Normal is broken, messed up, confused, distorted, broken. When did we start settling for normal? We're not normal. We're chosen. We're royalty. You're God's people. You're his very own nation. You're set apart, called out of darkness into his wonderful light. Yeah, but Pastor Josh, don't worry. I hear this all the time. Listen, inherited faith will make you compare yourself to other people. Well, I'm not as bad as those people. Hey, other people aren't the standard. God is calling us to be different. We're set apart. We're set apart. It's inherited faith. How about this one? By the way, all three of these have been on my list at different times. Inherited faith. Maybe for some of you, it's a shallow faith. A shallow faith that we've been representing. How do you get shallow faith? You get a shallow faith because your roots never grow down deep. Your roots never grow down deep because you've never been planted anywhere. And you've never been planted anywhere because you always find something that you don't like about the church. Hey, I don't know who this is for, but can I just tell you that the church, Jesus said that I didn't come to seek and save the righteous or the whole. He said, I came for the sick. I came to save sinners. If that's why Jesus came, can I just tell all my perfect Christian religious people that you've grown up in church your whole entire life and you like it neat and you like it pretty, you're going to hate. Listen, that is not who Jesus came for. I'm stepping on some toes right now. That means our churches really, if we're honest, if we want them to reflect who we're representing, it means our churches really should look more like a hospital than a country club. Yeah. A place for people that are broken and they're hurting. And listen, too many times we can't grow roots down because we're looking for which country club to join instead of which hospital to start helping. Because there's broken people, there's hurting people. And the people that need the help the most aren't getting the help the most. Surface Christianity, shallow. Trading the 80 that you love for the 20 that you don't love. Thinking the grass is always greener on the other side. We were at a sushi restaurant. Y'all like sushi? Y'all like sushi lovers? We love sushi. We were at a sushi restaurant, and we were on our little date night, Chris and I, and the waiter that was there was a guy that had been going to our church. I didn't see him at first. We were sitting there, we were ordering sushi, and as soon as he saw me, of course, he comes over. Oh, Lord, help me. And, he said, Pastor Josh. And I'm like, yay, hey, bud, what's up? As soon as I said hi, I don't know what this is about pastors. It's every single time y'all see us, y'all think this is the Vatican City where we're going. You just have to confess everything. It's just, I was like, hey, man, what's up? I haven't been to church in 6 months. I was with my girlfriend last night and we did something awful. And I didn't do this, and I said a bad word. And I'm like, dude, I'm just trying to eat my sushi roll, bro. Can you leave me alone for? And he's saying all these things like, but don't worry, I'm gonna come back. I got a plan. I'm gonna come back to church. I'm gonna see you. I'm gonna see you on Sunday. And then as soon as he said that, because this is running rampant in the church and with people that claim to be followers of Jesus. And he just said, I'm gonna come, and this little thing, I just looked at him and said, hey, let me tell you something, brother. I love you. And God's got a plan for your life, but you just need to know, giving God your 1 hour on Sunday is not going to give you the strength you need to fight Satan for the next 7 days of your life. Oh, but Pat, that's where I get fed. Yeah, that's the problem. That's the only time Christians are getting fed is from the pastor on Sunday morning. Only babies cry when they're hungry. Adults go make a sandwich. Hey, get out your bread and start eating. Make a sandwich. Get in God's word and let your roots grow down deep. It is not his job to feed you every single day. And I'm telling you, some of us, I don't know who this is. You've been attending, you've been coming, and by the way, we're so glad that you're attending. But you're living with the results of having a shallow faith. And you need to hear this. You need to take a step forward before the devil takes you out. It's a shallow faith. I'm telling you, I think I'm calling on all pastors, Pastor JD, not even just us, and there's a rise. I think there's a renewal. I'm telling you, church is not a podcast. We ran into somebody the other day and said, "What's up? What church you go to?" "Oh, I listen online." Are you kidding me? The church is not a podcast, something you just put on. I'm telling you, the church is the body of Jesus Christ, intimately connected, intimately working together, each doing its part, each doing its role. Inherited faith, a shallow faith. This is a big one I know for me. What about a conditional faith that you live with? And this is the appeal we're making to people. What is that? That means I'll serve if. I'll believe as long as. I'll follow until I'm offended. I'll give until God doesn't give back. And when your faith is conditional, it's one day your faith is fact. You know it's real. But the next day your faith is fiction. And the only difference is by what you're looking at. That what's right before you determines if your faith is conditional or if it's real. The only problem with that, the writer of Hebrews says, come on, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Hey, Zeal, guess what? If you can see it, it's not faith. And if you're looking for something that you can see that's tangible, you just need to know that God's pressing you, He's pushing you, He's moving you beyond conditions. Conditional faith, let me tell you what conditional faith will make you live your life making God or asking God that He's got something to prove. I'll do it, God, but you got to prove it. You got to prove you're real. Hey, God doesn't have to prove anything. He's already proven everything. The Bible says that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. That means He's already paid the price. He already hung on the tree. He already got up out of the grave. He's already at the right hand of the Father. He's already done everything that He needs to do. He's just waiting on you and me to step up. Leave behind conditional faith that God is calling the church. When I know who I am, I'll know what to do. That God is calling His church, His people, Zeal, to so much more than inherited, shallow, conditional faith. Why is God calling His church to be different? The city on the hill, the salt of the earth. Why do we have to get this right? Let me show you why we have to get this right. I love this verse. Put up this verse in 2 Corinthians. By the way, not only are we up against ourselves, the own appeal that we're making, come on, how many of you also know that we have an enemy? So not only we are not getting it right on our own, but we also have an enemy that's actively working against us. And the Bible says here that the Satan, who is the little g god of this world, what has he done? He's blinded the minds of those who don't believe. And what's the problem? They want to see Jesus, they want to see the appeal, but they cannot see the glorious light of the good news. And this phrase is devastating. What happens? They don't understand. They don't understand this message about the glory of Christ, who is the exact likeness of God. They do not understand. Hey, Zeal, listen, please, you got to hear this. If we don't understand, they will never understand. If we don't know who we are, if we don't know who God has called us to be, they will never understand God. Why? Because our role is to what? Show others the goodness of God, to show others. So if we're unable to show, what are they seeing? I want to help us out. You can help me close, and we're going to. What do we do? This is what we're called to do. What do we do? This is the hope today. Put up this verse is that to always be, come on, say the word. We're almost done. Come on, stay with me. Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have. You know why I love this verse? It's because it's making a pretty big assumption that you're living your life in such a way where people are asking you. Is anybody asking you? Many of us, we haven't had to be prepared because nobody wants it. So we just remain unprepared because we're living a life that nobody else wants. What do I want to do? I want to help us get prepared. I want to help us get prepared. Why? Because that's who we are. We're the light. We're the difference makers. I'm telling you, Nashville doesn't need another church where people can just come together and twingy ding and sing songs. I don't even know what that means, twingy ding. Y'all have more churches than we drop. Church. That's great. I love that. I'm telling you, people, you know what Nashville needs? They need to come to a place that's so real and the presence of God is so undeniable that when they walk in the door just for one moment in worship or in the preaching of God's word, that there's overwhelming sense of God's presence, his power, and his peace. And that's only going to happen, come on, when we're prepared to give the reason for the hope that we have. If God's calling, I'm telling you, he's calling us. He's calling us to more. I'm telling y'all, that 42,000 square feet, y'all better get ready. And I'm serious. You're in an obscure little middle school right now, and God's about to put this church on the map. I'm thanking God with Pastor JD. We've talked about thanking God for this season of what? Preparation. God, get our hearts right. Lord, get our minds right. Lord, remind us of who we are so we'll know what to do. God, help us to know every single place we go. When I'm a dad, I'm representing you. God, when I'm at work, God, I'm representing you. Lord, as a mother, I'm raising my kids, I'm representing you. God, when I'm in the grocery store line, I'm representing you. On the soccer field, I'm representing you. I'm not my own. I've been bought with a... Help us get prepared. To move us forward, we're going to have to overcome some things. I want to leave you on the practical side very quickly. To move forward, you're going to have to settle some things that are keeping you back. I want to give them to you very quickly. The first thing that you're going to have to settle is you're going to have to get over the fear of your past. The fear of your past. Oh man, Josh, you don't understand. I'd love to join the team. Sounds really exciting. All this energy, all these people here serving God, man, but you don't know what I've done. You don't know my past. You don't know the mistakes I've made. You don't know the hurt that I've experienced. And listen, you're allowing your past to become the thing that disqualifies you. When if you know anything about Jesus, only Jesus can take your past and turn it into your purpose and use it as your qualification for your ministry. That some of you just need to hear this because other people have been talking about your past for so long and they've been pointing at you and they've been saying things. God doesn't want to talk about your past. He wants to settle your past. God has never been for you, and you've got to stop thinking about your past because Jesus came to settle your past, and when you decide to remain in your past, you devalue what Jesus accomplished on the cross for you. What do you want me to do? How do I get prepared about fear of the past? Put up this, how do I get prepared? You got to let go of the past so it can let go of you. I wish I could tell you God's going to come and zap you on the head and remove your past. He's not going to. What he is going to do is give you the strength and give you everything you need to step up and leave your past behind so that you can embrace everything that he has for you. What's in your past that's holding you back? What's in your past that, listen, only you're thinking about, but God has long forgot? Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Second thing we have to deal with is fear of our past. And how about fear of the crowd? Fear of the crowd. What is that, Josh? That means you're just never before in this generation. I guess it's the influence, Pastor, of the people right around us have we been more concerned about what people think that we've forgotten about what God thinks? That the single greatest obstacle, come on, God's speaking to someone, that the single greatest obstacle to you following Jesus is your desire to fit in. And you just need to know you were never created to fit in. You were created to stand out. Difference, flavor, salt. When you touch me, it feels different. When you come in contact with me, my attitude's different. I forgive different. I don't carry offenses. Why? Because I'm different. Everything about me, you just got to understand it's different. How do I get prepared? How do I get prepared? I'm trying to please people. I'm telling you, this is the most freeing thing that could ever happen to you, because it's gonna free you from trying to live for the approval of everybody else. Is that you got to be more concerned about obeying God than looking foolish. I mean, can we just get to the point in our following of Jesus where, God, if it's in your word, that's enough for me. I'm not looking for reasons to question everything. Questions are good. You got to seek knowledge. But if your questions start becoming an excuse for inactivity or movement, you've lost the point of the question. That, God, I've got to be on this journey, Lord, where if it's in your word, Lord, I'm just obeying everything that you said. I'm telling you, you would better be so thankful that you're in a church that refuses to try to change God's word to fit the culture we live in. God, if it's in your word, that's all I need to know, I'm doing it. If it says this in your word, God, I'll do it. And you got to get to the place of obedience. Jesus, help us. Fear of the past, fear of the crowd. How about fear of, put this next one, fear of taking the first step. Keeps so many of us stuck. I don't have to take a next step, do I, Josh? I've been a Christian for 30 years, grown up in the church my whole entire life. God loves me just the way that I am. Yes. He does love you just the way that you are, but he also loves you too much to stay that way. We've got to start taking steps. And for many of us, the last time we took a step was the first time that we surrendered our life to Jesus. Yeah, 35 years ago, I surrendered my life to the ministry. It's been hell ever since, but I gave it all to God. What? Your whole life is miserable. What type of ooh, get away from me. That's what I want to say. That's just, who wants that? And the last time you took a step was the first step towards Jesus. The problem is you haven't taken a step since then. And you're living in the frustration with, Josh, here's where I am, but here's where God's calling me. And you've got to know the only way to get to where God is calling you is to take a step. And when you get to this place, you cannot stand still. God has more. God has more. God has more. And you keep moving, and you keep stepping, and you keep moving, and you keep stepping until you inherit the promises that God has for your life. What do you want me to do? I'm telling you, you better take your next step. If you're here and you haven't surrendered your life to Jesus, come on, take your step. What are you waiting for? There's a city going to hell, and we're standing still. If you haven't been water baptized, get water baptized. Go public with your faith. You haven't joined the team. You're here dating the church. Plant your roots. How do I prepare, Josh? How do I get prepared? You got to step out to find out. You're not going to find out standing still how good God is. You'll very quickly know standing still what you can accomplish on your own. And it will not be until you take oh my goodness. God told Abram, leave and then I'll show you. Leave, then I shall. What are you talking about? I'm talking about, listen, action always comes before the evidence. Step out to find out. Yeah, it's okay. I'm going to close. I'm going to be done. I'm going to close with this story. In 2005, I was deployed. We were in the western border between Syria and Iraq, and we were in a convoy, May 8th, 2005, I'll never forget. We were in an APC, Armored Personnel Carrier, and our vehicle was 5 back from the front. It was very dark, very early in the morning, and we were driving. And in the middle of nowhere, my vehicle, the vehicle we were in, was hit by a double-stacked, pressure-plated Chinese mine. And pressure-plated just means it has a strike plate, and however many cars, they do that so they don't have to be around. And whichever car hits the strike plate, it ignites anyway. Completely wrecked our vehicle. Blew it up, flipped it over on its side, stuff everywhere. Miraculously, nobody seriously injured. Our corpsman had ruptured spleen and lacerated intestine. He got medevaced out. And they brought us another vehicle so we could continue the mission because we were all okay. It was 3 days later. We were off vehicle and we were in a patrol walking through the field, and APC, same exact vehicle that we were in just 3 days before, was about 100 feet from us when that vehicle ran over the same exact type of mine that we had just hit 3 days before. Double stacked pressure plated Chinese mine, except this time when it hit, it penetrated the fuel cells and ignited the JP5 fuel. And immediately went up in flames. By the time we got over there, we were unable to pull out any of the Marines. And so we sat there and watched 15 of our brothers, Marines, burn alive inside the vehicle. Now, you don't get a lot of time to process something like that. But I'll never forget, we finished the mission about 10 days later, and we drove back to the base, and everyone's laughing, having a big time, and we're cleaning our weapons, and my buddies are blaring. I'll never forget, they're playing the Eminem soundtrack and cleaning their weapons, laughing. And in that moment, I remember I just took the chair that I was sitting in because I didn't want anyone to see me. And I just brought it around the back building of our barracks of our base. And I remember I sat it behind that thing, and I just started sobbing. I mean, weeping uncontrollably, because listen, my whole entire life I've had inherited faith. And I dealt with shallow faith, and I had conditional faith at times. And it was really for the first time in my whole entire life, literally, I can remember the smells, everything. I remember just begging, fully surrendering, saying, God, whatever you want me to do, God, the answer is yes. I know I'm not perfect. I know I've made so many mistakes, but God, whatever you want me to do in advance, I don't care if it's a missionary, I don't care whatever it is. Please don't send me overseas again because I don't want to die, but I'll do anything else. I'll do anything else you want me to do. And at the same time, I could hear God speaking those things, telling me he's got me, that he's for me, that he's got a plan for my life, that I'm going to use you, that I saved you for a reason. The same time, I'm hearing those things in my other ear. I'm also hearing, you can't do it. And you're too messed up. And remember what you did. And all of these things that are trying to disqualify me. And I'm telling you, you are going to face, every single one of us, you're going to face this last one, this fear of failure. You're going to face it. And that's what I did. Paralyzing fear of failure that's keeping us from moving forward. What do you want me to do, Josh? What do I do? How do we overcome the failure? Here's your how you get prepared moment. Put it up and we're going to pray. You guys got refocus on your future, not your failure. How many know that your failure is going to paralyze you? It's going to keep you stuck. It's going to keep you still. And I don't know which or how many of you you need to hear, come on, you need to hear the word of the Lord this morning. You've been focusing on the wrong thing for too long. That if you're going to stand up and walk into this next season with everything that God has for your life, you're going to have to lift up come on, straighten, pick yourself up. Forgetting the past, forgetting, straining, pressing towards what's. Come on, bow your heads and close your eyes, Lord.